Assalamualaikum and good day to everyone. So, for our lesson 1, I will discuss about thesis writing chapter 1. Specifically, this is the introduction part of your research. At the end of this lesson, I will be expecting you to master at least the basic concept of research. You will be able also to define what is research and at least identify 3 possible research titles. So as what we have discussed or as what I have mentioned last time during our class orientation, I want you to give me at least 3 possible research titles that is related to Islamic. Okay? So hindi pwede na ang course niyo is Islamic studies, then bibigyan niyo ako ng about management. Pwede naman management, but it would be Islamic management. So anything must be related to Islamic, okay? So, what is actually research? Research is an organized inquiry carried out to provide information for solving problems. What does it mean by solving problem here is not the problem of the world, okay? Research is the cornerstone of every science. It is the process of looking at a solution of a given problem which can be used as a basis for policy formulation, policy enhancement, or improvement. So basically, magre-research kayo kasi may gusto kayong i-solve na problem. Not necessarily na problem na like problema sa ano ba, nagkakagulo ang mundo or anything kasi hindi mo naman kayang i-solve ang problema ng buong mundo. What does it mean by problem here is, for example, you will be studying about Islamic politics. So, ano bang issue ngayon sa politics na gusto mong malaman, gusto mong pag-aralan, kung ba gusto mong i-experiment, gusto mong i-explore. So, kaya magkakanda ka ng research kasi gusto mong mag-explore ng something para masolusyonan yung issue na yon. Okay? So, again, the purpose of research, as kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, is para mag-explore kayo ng mga bagay na gusto nyo malaman or gusto nyo pag-aralan or gusto nyo solusyonan. You want to describe something which is very important or you want to explain a particular problem or a particular solution to a problem. So, what is good research? So, following the standards of the scientific method, it should be the purpose or the objective must be clearly defined. Ang research process ninyo must be detailed. For example, yung methodology ninyo, paano nyo ikakonduct, it must be detailed. The research design thoroughly planned. So, kung paano nyo ikakonduct yung research nyo, dapat dyan planado. Kung ano man ang mga limitation ninyo, for example, limitation sa respondents, limitation sa fund, limitation sa time, it must be revealed. High ethical standard must be applied. Adequate analysis for decision makers need. Dito sa data analysis, of course, kailangan nyo yan. Mapa-qualitative man siya or mapa-quantitative. Next will be, kung ano man yung conclusion niyo, it must be justified. At the end of your research, siyempre, i-conclude nyo yan. So, it must be justified and researchers' experience must be reflected. So, what are the types of research? The types of research are applied research and basic research. Applied research conducted when a decision must be made about a specific real-life problem. So meaning, from the name itself, applied meaning means gusto mong mag-conduct ng research about sa yung totoong nangyayari talaga, so sa totoong buhay. For example, gusto mo i-solve a current problem faced by the manager in the work settings that demand a timely solution. For example, yung employee engagement. So yan, pwede yan siya dyan. So the next one is the basic research is to enhance the understanding of a certain problems that commonly occur in organization and seeks method of solving them. So sa basic research is not directly involved in the solution to a pragmatic problem, but it attempts to expand the limit of knowledge. Kumbaga, meron ng knowledge about dun sa topic na yun. gusto mo lang siya i-expand, gusto mo siya dagdagan kasi may na-discover ka pa. Okay? So, basic research example is, for example, is executive success correlated with high need for achievement? Are members of highly cohesive work group more satisfied than member of less cohesive work group? Do consumer experience cognitive dissonance in low involvement situations? So, yan yung mga example ng basic research. Kumbaga pa dito sa basic research is gusto mo malaman yung relationship ng A to B or ng X sa Y. So applied research example is, for example, should McDonald's add Italian pasta dinners to its menu? Kasi for example, nakikita nila na ang mga tao is gusto nila ng Italian pasta. So ano ba, kailangan ba nila mag-add or hindi? So in that case, magkakandak si McDonald's ng research kung tatanungin niya yung mga customer nila na kung mag-add ba sila ng Italian pasta is ipapatronize ba nila yung menu na yun. Another example is, should P&G add high-price home kit bleaching kit to its product? So, yan talaga yung mga real-life, real-life problem. So, we also have what we call correlational research. It refers to the systematic investigation or statistical study of relationship among two or more variables without necessarily determining the cause and effect. So it seeks to establish a relation or association or correlation between two or more variables that do not readily lend themselves to experimental manipulation. So dito sa correlational research, usually kapag nagkakandak ka ng ganitong research is gusto mong imbestigahan statistically or empirically yung relationship ng dalawang bagay. Relationship ni A to B. For example, listening to music lower blood pressure level. So there are two ways of conducting research. Sa experimental, group samples and make one group listen to music, then i-compare yung BP levels nila. Or para naman sa survey, yung tatanungin mo kung ano yung nararamdaman, how they feel, how often they listen, and then compare. So ganun yung sa correlational research. So another example of correlational research is this one. So ito yung outcome variable, ito yung predictor variable. So for example, si salary, kapag mataas ang, anong relationship ni salary kay job performance? Kapag mataas ba ang salary, tataas din ba ang level ng performance nila? Kapag satisfied ba sila sa job nila, tataas ba yung performance nila? So, gaano na ba sila katagal? Kapag matagal na ba sila sa serbisyo, maganda rin ba ang performance nila? So, ang tinatanong dito, ano yung relationship nitong tatlo dun sa job performance? So, that's another example of correlational research. From the name itself, correlation meaning relationship between two variables. Okay, so next one is the approaches to research. There are two approaches to research, which is the quantitative research and qualitative research. In quantitative research, the concept are in the form of distinct variables. An example ng quantitative research na to is yung pinakita ko kanina. Ito yun siya. Ito siya usually kapag may graph ka na ganito na may arrow papunta dun sa outcome or dito sa outcome variable, quantitative yan siya. So data are in the form of numbers from precise measurement, meaning pwede mo siya ma-quantify mo siya. So there are generally many cases or subject, procedure are standard, and replication is assumed. On the other hand, qualitative research concepts are in the form of themes, motive, generalization, taxonomy. So data are in the form of words from documents or observation and transcript. Usually, dito sa qualitative is, yan na yung magkakandak ka ng ang pagkandak mo ng research mo is through interview. So, or pwede rin mag-collect ng data or mga literature sa mga books, pwede kang mag-observe. So, ganun yung sa qualitative. So, the most popular way of conducting a qualitative research is through interview, like focus group discussion, in-depth interview, mga ganan. So there are generally few cases or subjects, and like sa quantitative, usually must be above 30 ang cases mo or subject mo. Minsan nga hindi pa tinatanggap yung 30, kaya dapat na 100. So it depends on sino ang scholar ang pipiliin mo. Unlike sa qualitative, pag mag-interview ka, it could be less than 10, pwedeng less than 10. Ang range ata niyan is 5 to 30 according to Presswell. So there are generally few cases or subject. As to researchers' procedure are particular and replication is rare, unlike sa quantitative na usually kasi sa mga quantitative kaya replicable yan siya, pwede i-replicate. For example, nagkanda ka ng study dito sa setting na to, tapos pwede mo i-replicate sa ibang setting. So, ganun siya. So, okay, so remember, pag quantitative, data are in a form of numbers. Usually, magkakanda ka ng research dito using survey questionnaire, unlike sa qualitative, using interview. Okay, so the next one, ito na. So the difference between qualitative and quantitative research. Pag ayun ang sinabi ko kanina, quantitative research usually are survey, laboratory experiments, simulation, mathematical modeling, structure equation modeling, statistical analysis, and econometrics. All of these actually are quantifiable, meaning numbers ang lumalabas dito. Okay? So sa surveys, pag mag-survey ka man, magbibigay kayo ng scale, like 1 to 4. Laboratory experiment, simulation is using also data which are number, mathematical, structural equation. Econometrics usually ginagamit din sa mga research on economics. Okay? So for qualitative naman, examples are action research, mga case study, ethnography, grounded theory, discourse analysis, semiotics, and hermeneutics. So yan yung mga example ng qualitative. Usually, itong mga to, hindi involved ang mga numbers dito. Okay, it's based on observation, based on interview. Okay? So, let's proceed with the writing thesis introduction properly. Kasi, although kailangan nyo malaman yung mga basic ng research, kailangan nyo pa rin i-follow yung policy or yung standard or yung guidelines ng CCSPC. So, in writing thesis introduction, for CCSPC ata is there are following now IMRAD. I don't know with the undergrad, but for the graduate school, we are now following the IMRAD. IMRAD stands for Introduction, Methodology, Results, and Discussion. So kung nagtataka kayo, where is the RRL or the review of related literature, nasa introduction na siya. So although ito siya sa graduate school, gusto ko ito ang ipa-follow ninyo para inshallah if you will proceed for masteral, so at least alam nyo na. Okay? So unlike before, it consists of 5 chapters. Now will only be 4 chapters kasi yung RRL ninyo sinali na sa introduction. Okay? So writing thesis introduction, ang introduction actually are the most or is the most important part of the research, specifically the background of the study. Kasi it leads the readers from general research issue or a problem to your specific area of research. It puts your research question in context by explaining the significance of the research being conducted. This is usually done by summarizing current understanding and background information about the topic. This is followed by a statement of the problem or the purpose of your research. This is sometimes followed by hypothesis or a set of questions you attempt to answer in your research question. So itong set of questions you attempt to answer in your research question, ito na usually yung research problem or problem statement. You may also explain your methodology and explain what your study can reveal. It also may contain a summary of the structure of the rest of the paper. So here in the introduction content, specifically for CCSPC format, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 5 parts as for your introduction part. Number 1 is the brief background or information about the research topic. Ito na yung rationale of undertaking this study, the reason for filling the gap. So ito, masasabi ko na ang background of the study is the heart of your thesis kasi andito yung summary actually ng problem na gusto mong isolve. dito sa background of the study, dito nakalagay yung what is actually known and what is still unknown in your study. Ano yung bakit importante na ikakandak itong research? Ano yung research gap? Ano yung hindi pa nagawa compare sa mga ginawa dati? For example, may research na ganito, pero gusto mo pa rin pag-aralan kasi kulang pa. Okay, so isusulat mo yan or ilalagay mo lang yan lahat sa background of the study. Magsa-start ka from general to specific. Number 2 is the statement of the problem. Ito na yung set of question na gusto mong sagutin kaya kinakandak mo yung study. For example, what is the relationship between or is there any relationship between Islamic leadership and good governance, or is there any relationship between Islamic leadership and moral governance? So that's an example of a statement of the problem. As for the significance of the study, of course, to whom is your study significant? Kailangan nyo yan i-identify. You need also to clarify the terms or abbreviation. Yan na yung definition of terms ninyo. And the last part of your introduction part is the review of related literature. So later on, I will discuss how to write your RRL and also how to search for articles that you can use for your RRL. So, okay, this is the structure of your introduction. As kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, right? Sinabi ko sa introduction, especially in the background of the study, you need to discuss what is known, what is unknown, how and why should we fill the gap. So what is known is your understanding of the world or the general part of your study. What is unknown is what is the gap that you want to fill. Kumbaga pa, ano yung gusto mong i-fill na gap na hindi pa nagagawa ng mga ibang scholar or ng mga ibang study. So, bakit mo siya, how and why should we fill the gap? So, yan na yung rationale, pati purpose mo. So, for example, question answered in a research paper introduction. Okay, bakit mo siya gusto pag-aralan? Bakit importante yan para iyong investigahan? What do we already know about the topic? Kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina. And how will my research advance new knowledge or new ways of understanding? So, this is the components of the research paper or introduction. So, component 1 is you need to establish the problem or issue that you want to research. Ano bang gusto mong pag-aralan? For example, about Islamic leadership. Okay, does leaders in Barmba understand what is really Islamic leadership since they are promoting moral governance? Okay, so mga ganun. So, highlight the importance of the problem, make general statement about the problem, and present an overview on current research on the issue or problem. In the component number 2, you need to provide an overview of existing thinking about the research into your research problem, and you need to identify the gap as in the component 3. Problems or unresolved issues in the existing knowledge or research that your research can fill in or identify research. So ito na yung sinasabi ko kanina. Pag sinabi mo kasing gap or yung problem or your unresolved issues, meaning ano yung mga hindi nagawa dun sa previous study na yon na kailangan pag-aralan mo din. So example, the previous research has mistakenly assumed, therefore, my study would like to discuss or investigate blah, blah, blah. Okay. Another thing is, for example, another gap is, although most of the experts in the field of Islamic believe that blah, 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 they have overlooked the importance of this. So yun, another example of gap. Another example of gap is none of the previous research has examined, for example, none of the previous research has examined the role or the concept of leadership in Islamic perspective. Therefore, I want to investigate what is leadership in Islamic perspective. So ganun yung gap. Okay, so another example is despite the prior observation of voter behavior in local election in urban Detroit, it remains unclear why some single mother choose to avoid so and so. Therefore, I want to examine why single mother choose to avoid blah, blah, blah. Okay? So those are the example of gaps. Okay? So ganyan yung ilalagay ninyo kapag i-identify nyo na yung research gap ninyo. So in the component number 4, you need to state your research question, your hypothesis, and your knowledge claim, making sure to place your research within the gap in existing knowledge. So state the intent of your study, yung aims ninyo, yung objective ninyo, including your research question. Usually yung research question, yun yung problem statement. And if possible also, especially kung sino man sa inyo ang magwa-quantitative research, mag-state kayo ng hypothesis. Pero kung hindi nyo kaya, okay, fine. You can do descriptive lang. So outline the key characteristics of your study and describe the important results that you have found or hope to find. Component number 5 is stress the value and relevance of your research. Sabi ko, after nyo ma-identify yung general information sa background of the study, you need to stress why is your research relevant. Ano ang makikontribute niya sa field na or sa field of study nyo. And why should your reader or your audience care about your research? So, knowledge, claim, or gap, again, nire-repeat ko lang to, ito rin yung kanina na sabi ko. So, the best introduction are likely to make the knowledge claim stand out in some way. Here are the several ways in which writers position their knowledge claim so that they can stand out. So, for example, you show that the subject question is important, curious, or otherwise interesting. Example, the previous research suggests an interesting correlation between A and B. Therefore, my research will investigate the correlation between A and B. Meaning, yung, for example, may mga literature na nabasa kayo na nag-suggest na maganda daw pag-aralan ang relationship ng A and B. Kaya pag-aaralan siya. Another knowledge claim or gap is, for example, for paradoxical thesis. Focus on the way in which your research will go against what is commonly believed in the field. This form of introduction searches for unlikely perspective on the subject. Example, although most experts in the field believe that Islamic leadership have a relationship towards moral governance, they have overlooked the importance of this and that. Therefore, my research will conduct this. So yun yung another gap. Another thing is the corrective thesis. It shows that the subject has been neglected, misunderstood, misrepresented by others. So this approach addresses the preconception of readers that subject is right or I don't know. Subject is right. So for example, despite the intense focus on X, few research have examined the problem of Y. Therefore, my research will investigate the problem of Y. Okay? So yan yung example ng research gap for corrective thesis. For example, yung ibang mga research is nagkakandak na sila parati ng research on leadership. Pero hindi nila na-examine yung Islamic leadership. Therefore, pag-aaralan mo is leadership in Islamic perspective. Okay, so what is already known or the background information? Actually, it gives a strong statement that reflects your subject area. Use keywords from the title. Basically, dapat kung ano yung title ninyo, it must be consistent with the background of the study. Kasi minsan may nababasa ako na thesis na, for example, ang title nila is about politics, pero iba na ang pinagsasabi sa background of the study. So you have to use keywords or you have to use words or statement na related sa title ninyo. So here you should also be sure to cite all the sources or sources reference. So in your background of the study, make sure na yung mga strong statement ninyo na kiniklaim ninyo must be cited. Meaning nasa cite ninyo yung mga reference ninyo kung saan nyo kinukuha yung mga study ninyo. Number 2 is only provide the necessary background information. Minsan kasi sa dami-dami na nang sinasabi, hindi na alam saan ba dun talaga. So, provide only the necessary background of information. Short but precise. Okay? So, only review relevant, up-to-date primary literature that supports your explanation of current base of knowledge. Usually, yung literature na kailangan nyong isusupport sa background niyo must be at least current or for the last 5 years. But basically, for the background information, must be current. Okay, para suportahan yung claim ninyo. So, that will be all for the, no. I will share you an example of background of the study, okay? So, example will be this one. Ipakita ko sa inyo yung sinasabi kong knowledge claim kanina na example ko. So, for example, sabi ko kanina, pag gagawa ka ng introduction or the background of the study, it must start from the general to specific, from what is known and what is unknown. So this is the title of our research under Islamic Department is the awareness and perception of Islamic banking system among Muslims in the Bangsamoro region. So as for the background of the study, they said you need to start with the general statement, what is actually known. So here is the general statement. For example, Islamic banking is growing rapidly all over the world, specifically in the Muslim country because it follows the Sharia law. So ito na yung mga sa background mo. Isusulat mo lang dito kung ano yung mga importante. Okay, Islam prohibits interest, mga ganyan. It depends on your topic. Another one is the yung sa gap na sabi ko kanina. Based on the discussion above and the scarcity of relevant studies on the level of awareness and perception toward Islamic banking in the country, specifically in the Bangsamoro, there is a need to investigate the level of awareness and perception of the Muslim society in the Bangsamoro towards Islamic banking. Di ba, wala pa masyadong nagkakandak ng Islamic studies dito or Islamic finance studies dito sa BARM. So therefore, yun yung claim namin. Therefore, yung claim namin na kasi nga wala pang nag-aaral masyado o wala pang nagkakandak ng research about Islamic finance, kaya namin sinuggest na pag-aralan namin. So yun yung knowledge claim namin or yun yung gap namin. Ang gap namin is limited pa yung study, relevant study related to awareness on Islamic finance. So yun, ganun yung gagawin nyo. Therefore, the objective of this study is to examine and investigate the awareness and perception level of Muslim in the Bangsamoro region regarding the Islamic banking. So ganyan yung gagawin ninyong what do you call that, background of the study. Start kayo from general to specific. Okay? So ganun. General to specific, what is known and what is already unknown. So yung sa research problem, or yung sa statement of the problem, di ba sinabi kanina, yung set of research question. So ito na yung mga example na. What is the demographic profile of the respondents? Is there an awareness among Muslim in the Bangsamoro region regarding Islamic banking system? Does Muslim in the Bangsamoro region understand Islamic banking? Or what is the perception of the Muslim in the Bangsamoro region regarding Islamic banking system? So yan yung example ng statement of the problem. This is the set of questions na gusto mong sagutin through your research. Okay, so objective of the study, yung significance of the study, yung sabi ko kanina, you must reveal your limitation, and also the RRL. Okay? So, yan yung example niya. So, don't worry kasi pag mag-start na kayo mag-write, you can come to me, pwede kayo pumunta sa akin para mag-guide ko kayo. And that's why we will provide you an advisor para ma-assist kayo to conduct your study. Okay? So, please, I would like to inform you that I am expecting you to provide me at least 3 research topic or research title which is related to Islamic. Okay, so with that, thank you, and I hope na may natutunan kayo at may matutunan kayo sa lecture ko na to. If you don't understand anything, kapag may kulang kayo, kapag may gusto pa kayong malaman or itanong, so please ask question through our GC or you can post it in our Google Classroom, okay? So with that, thank you. Assalamualaikum.